Now, Jalil, you get a lot of love, man, from DC boxing legends, man. What's some of the best advice you get from them being from the area and they knowing that you from the area?
The best advice I've gotten, from a lot of different fighters like Sean Bay Mitchell, Mark Johnson, all of them, they preach to me the same thing: invest. Not even like on like the boxing side of things, because they're saying you're a good fighter, you can fight. It's really nothing I can tell you now. Not saying that like you got the whole world beat, but you're a great fighter, but you got to be smart with your investments. After your career is over, you should be able to say, I own a home, I own a car, I have income that's still gonna be coming in after my career is over. Because if not, all you have is pictures and memories, and you'll probably end up working a regular job. So that's the main advice I get from all the older fighters is invest, invest, invest.
Chop Chop, I noticed, man, see you a lot of things, man, from gloves to hand wraps, sweatsuits. You can get it all, man.
Yeah.
How does that feel, man, that they have that much interest in you at such a young age?
Chop Chop, that's more like family to me, because Chop Chop has been making like outfits and shoes and everything for me since before the Chop Chop Corley thing was big as far as the boxing apparel. So he's really like family. And of course I'm going to invest in a black-owned business. And for everybody out there, black-owned does not mean discounted or cheap.
Man, say that one more time, because I think people need to really hear that.
Just because the business is black-owned doesn't mean it is discounted or cheap. If you let's just put it hypothetically, if we were to start investing in those type of businesses, like we invest in these designer businesses like Gucci and Louis, Prada, they would develop. They would become bigger. We wouldn't see these guys in Last Stop or Walmart. We would see them. They would have their own stores. They would be big.
How important is it to see two powerful black men such as Floyd Mayweather and Al Haymon work together in the sport of boxing like this?
It's abundantly important. If you look back at the history of boxing, you always had black fighters, Italian fighters, Spanish fighters, some great Jewish fighters, but we never had the black fighter who could control the business part. We never had the black promoter who was pro-black when it came to moving these guys the right way. We had Don King, but Don King basically had the market corner when he was doing this thing. But to see Al Haymon fight for guys, to make sure they get their right money, to see Floyd and Leonard take the time to say, we want to develop a fighter. Nothing's wrong with any platform another fighter got. Whatever other promotion companies are doing, and they're doing it with their fighters, that's the business. But to see people who look like him, who look like myself, take that time to say, we want to invest in your career, not just the money part, but how you make moves. Look at Al. Al got fighters who invested in stuff that can walk away from boxing for 2 years and ain't screaming broke. Floyd, he's giving opportunities to fighters and saying, hey man, it ain't just fight. What have you done with your money? I think those are the things that make sense. For my son, he was with Floyd at an autograph signing, and Floyd explained to him what he was getting on these autographs. That's the business of it. And I want my son to be surrounded by not just great fighters and great coaches, but great businessmen, who say, is that a logical fight? I want my son to say, it also has to make money even if I want that fight. Not just, we gonna fight any and everybody. That sounds great from the athlete, but from the businessman, the model, it has to make sense. And if it doesn't, then you gotta remember, these guys putting their life on the line. Boxing is unlike any other sport. Every time you go out there, there is a 50-50 probability that you do not walk out of there. That ain't the same in basketball. That ain't the same in baseball. That ain't the same in football. So every fight has to count and mean something because your health is on the line.
Hey man, once again, I really appreciate your time as always.
Man, we appreciate you.
Hey man, I also heard some of your other ones. I hate to grab you, Jalil. I want to say a shout out to Haymaker Boxing. Man, they sent Jalil some gloves, sent him 2 pair. Amazing gloves. He loved the way they feel. He did a little something on 1 pair. He gonna do something on the other pair. And I want to also say something that you did in 2 other interviews. 2 of the, you see, you asked about an underrated. We always talk about the high rated. But 2 fighters that I want to say, because everybody's gave their say on that interview, that I think are underrated. Antonio Russell, I think, is one of the most underrated guys who hasn't had his shot. And for a 118, 122, my son has sparred with him a lot. That man bring big boy crack to the table. And I don't think it's a single guy at those small weights that can do nothing with him. I think he's something special. Antoine, I don't even think he's hidden anymore. Antoine is just, they know what he can do. But also, Malik Hawkins. Malik Hawkins, man, him and Jalil developed a relationship, and that was a relationship that developed through fire, because they did a lot of sparring together too. But I'm looking at how his career is moving. He's not the flashy guy, but he's the hard hat dude. You better bring your lunch pail when you gotta fight him. And that's something I think get overlooked, because boxing has gotten so mainstream that we love the flash, we love the slick stuff. But don't forget that hard hat dude, that's the dude that's fighting the B-Hop, 50 years old, still fighting and still winning. The Flash, after the Flash is gone, a lot of times those guys are gone, even if they had a Hall of Fame career. But those are my 2 guys, Antonio Russell and Malik Hawkins, man. Those are my underrated 2.
Man, appreciate y'all time as always.
All the time.
All the time, Zeb. Anytime, brother.
All right, order ropes. We out.